it was a very magical evening, and it went on and on and on. And in the morning at sunrise, we were playing the theme from Madame Butterfly. It blew everybody away. You know, I have goosebumps thinking about that, you know. I got tears in my eyes. And it was like I did something nice. I helped a community. I did something that I'm proud of. We threw a party for us all. And the rest is history.
So welcome to Queerguru, and we're here to talk to you today about your debut feature film, well, the debut behind the camera. It's this about the gay hallowed ground of Far Island. It's an unscripted doc, so can we start with you telling, in your words, what attracted you and what was your theme going to be for the movie?
I guess first off, I didn't really have like any ideas about theme or approach. I mean, I had a really great director of photography, Eric Schleicher, who comes from the features world, and he really wanted to film it not like a documentary, but like a feature. He was really interested in giving it a very still, very composed look. So we knew that going in, but besides that, we knew we had really access. We had really good contact with a lot of the power players out there. We got the trust of the community very, very early on. And we kind of took a Frederick Wiseman-esque approach to it, which was let's show up, let's turn the camera on, and let's do all of our research on film.
So why did you want to make this film in the first place?
The Pines just figures so huge, especially like in the 80s, the 70s, in the 80s, right? It was this clash of like the absolute greatest gay experience ever with like the absolute worst gay experience ever. And it was so concentrated out there in the Pines. So it gives that place this really special charge that I've always felt every time I've gone out there. And it felt like it was a really ripe thing to explore.
Okay. For the gay people watching this who haven't been there, can we talk just a second about the island's unique accommodation setup?
Yeah, it's not like a hotel situation. It's a house-based culture, meaning that you sort of have to know someone out there. You sort of have to know someone or know someone who knows someone to either get an invite or to kind of get involved in the share system out there. People go and they'll get like a quarter share or a full share or a half share, and be able to go out maybe once a weekend per month or every weekend per month. But Airbnb has really changed that a lot. You can get on Airbnb now and find a place to stay out there. So that sort of has revolutionized the way that the kind of access that people have, and have made it a little bit more of a more public destination. But for years, it was really just this secret that was kind of passed around gay men. Someone had a house and you would get invited, and you would go with a friend. But it wasn't like, oh, I'm going to go to Miami and stay at a nice hotel and go have a good time. It's so small and so private. And that was always sort of the idea of the place, that it was actually a little bit exclusive.
Yeah, it's interesting that you brought up, which I thought was really good, the fact all of this party thing, but you can be quite lonely there as well.
That was always my experience. I mean, I'm not. Listen, I love the party. I maybe a little bit too much. But my most profound experiences I had out there were like in November when there was no one there, and you're just kind of wandering around the place, and there's a sort of kind of very beautiful loneliness you can have out there. And also too, you can go out there and have a really bad weekend. I mean, you can go out there and just feel like you're 16 years old again, and be experiencing emotions that you thought you had gotten over, by the time you became like a legal adult. No, it brings it all up. You get heartache and rejection and public humiliation. I mean, it all happens out there to all of us.
I was amazed at the cast of characters in the film. Were they typical visitors, or did you seek out the few more eccentric ones?
We tried to do a balance of like what was like typical, what was normal, and then who were the people that were sort of like on the edges a little bit, you know, like you're always wondering in these kind of documentaries that are sort of like cultural portraits, you know, one of the big things, you're like, who's in power and who doesn't have power, right? And so we tried to get an interesting mix of folks that have been out there, that started going out there when they were very young, but now own homes and, you know, are part of the decision making process and governing bodies out there, and then the people that have been out there. You know, we found those young guys who it was their first time out there. They lost their wallet, they couldn't get back home, and they're just having this sort of timeless
Yeah.
experience out there. And also we were really interested in, like, you know, the trans experience out there, and we were interested in, you know, the non-white experience out there. We were interested, you know, I think the Pines has a reputation for being like this like muscle-bodied
Yeah.
Adonis place, and like that definitely is true. That definitely does occur out there. A lot of them out there, and a lot of people are out there shopping for that. But the thing that's happened is, with this new generation of homeowners, is that there is a sort of, it's become a lot more colorful and a lot more quirky and a lot more feminine than it was. It used to be very macho kind of a drone kind of place. And it's just really sort of like, it's kind of perked up in the last, like, you know, 10 years or so. And that was something that we also really wanted to make sure that we had in the film.
So I'm a queer history buff, so I'm really excited the fact that you included in your film some older guys, and you talked about the role that Fire Islands had in our evolving community. Why was that important to you?
You know, you meet these guys and you have to understand, like, you know, they're survivors. You know, they survived a real war out there, and it gives them, for me, a sort of, you know, and also they're the ones that really fought for our rights. They're the ones that went out and fought to make sure that we would survive, that we could have, that the research was being done for medications that we all take now so that we don't get HIV. I think for me, the thing that I found that was my most, that I connected to the most, was the generational conversation that's happening out there in the Pines. And the old, I do find myself just really drawn towards older generations of gay men. I think it's important that we hear them, that we tell their stories. And we had one guy at a film festival say, you know, I feel like I had not seen myself portrayed culturally in a documentary or a film before, you know, just as a person, right? And I think some people are really responding to that, and that means a lot to me, because that's what I wanted.
How do you think the comedy film from last year before, Fire Island, how does that really represent what's going on now today?
Well, I feel like once you sort of like realize that, I don't think that they felt that they had much of an obligation to represent the place accurately. That it's a rom-com. It's a gay comedy. And in order to do that, you have to, you know, that genre has a lot of very specific conventions. You need to have a bad guy. You need to have, you know, a meet cute. You need to have like all you know, there's all the things that kind of have to be conventions of the genre that have to be in that film. And unfortunately, I think, you know, Fire Island makes a very easy villain. So I think that film probably is a very accurate representation that someone could have on a really bad day. Unfortunately, I just don't think that that's like, you know, a true representation of what that place really aspires to be. And I think that's what we wanted to do with the documentary. That being said, I love that film, and I thought that I'm supportive anytime people are making really great public, successful queer entertainment out there, and getting, you know, casting it completely with queer actors. I just really enjoyed watching it, and I'm very proud that that's a part of our culture now, that movie.
I love the fact that you profiled what happened the rest of the year, because as you and I have talked, I'm from Provincetown in the summer. And the interesting thing is, during COVID, inspired a lot of New Yorkers to come up and buy property. Come the first winter, they freaked out. They thought the party just went on. And they
Yeah.
didn't realize that the population goes down to 3,000. So it's quite interesting. There's a whole life there if you are of the right kind of person to spend in the winter there.
There's a very small handful of people that do stay out there all year round. It is not easy because that bay sometimes freezes over. I mean, we didn't actually get to see that because I think climate change is really happening and the bay has not frozen over in the last like couple seasons at least. The funny thing is because of climate change, I think more people actually can stay out there year round. You got a lot more people that are winterizing their homes. I think COVID changed a lot of things. People are, I don't want to live in a city. I actually want to live in paradise. I can work as long as I got internet. I can take my office anywhere. So that has changed things. But yeah, the what's happening out there in the winter, I find to be the most poetic time because it's so charged with all of the activity. It's almost like you can feel like the momentum and the noise of summer still kind of lingers in the air when you're out there. I don't know. It's very poetic. It's very romantic and kind of haunting. And that was I also definitely wanted to have that experience in the film.
So what's the journey for the film after you're going to outshine? What's the journey for the film after that? Do you know?
We just got our New York premiere, which is very exciting. It's going to be connected with a really great festival with Pride. So June is going to be a really big month for us. I know we have Outshine coming up, obviously, this like upcoming weekend, which is going to be great. We're going to be going to Toronto, another really great queer festival that we'll be doing in June as well that has not announced yet. June is going to be a huge month for us.
Yes.
And we're very lucky that this film has a built-in audience. I think that there's a lot of we saw some the most incredible films I saw this year at these festivals have all been documentaries. People are making insanely great documentaries this year. So in terms of like sales and in terms of getting it up on a streamer, it is very competitive. I think for me, I think that this film, I really did make this film for I want people to enjoy it now, don't get me wrong, but it's a time capsule.
Yeah. No, I appreciate
it's something that 20 to 30 years from now, I think it's going to have a completely different charge. And maybe that's not the best marketing strategy, but I think it's just a record of what that place looked like at a very specific time. And the interesting thing is that time is already over. It's already dead. The place has moved on. It's changed. It's completely different already.
Yeah.
So I think of it as sort of an artifact, a little like, hey, this is who we were and this is what it was like. And I think that the more time that goes on, the more profound that's going to be.
You've got a taste for this now, being behind the camera. So do you know what's next after you've put this one to bed?
We got an idea for a documentary, kind of working with the same group of people that did this one. And it's a sort of Pines adjacent idea. I can't say anything about it because there's a lot of moving parts with it, and we don't even know if it's possible to do, which makes it very exciting. But besides that, I've been writing a lot actually, and I don't know. I feel like this sort of thinking about, a story, acting is it's a much more like athletic experience. It's more about your body and you're trying not to think. I think like, filmmaking from this side of things is using a part of my brain that I really don't get to use. I actually have to turn off as an actor, I feel like. And so I really want to keep that going if I can.
One last question before I let you go is, if I come to you and said, I'm thinking of going to Fire Island for the first time, what would you say to me?
I hope you have a place to stay. I hope you won't be, surprised at how expensive it is. But besides that, go there and care for it. I do think that I'll say this. I do think the danger is more of us discover the place and want to go, and that it becomes a little bit more of a symbol than like an actual like neighborhood of people that live there. I think that it risks becoming one of these places where people just go, they kind of throw up all over it and get hung over and use it and make it a little bit worse off, and then they leave. The Pines has always been a place where it's been cared for by the people that live there. And the Pines going forward, the more popular it becomes, is going to have to become a place that's being cared for by the people that go there.
Yeah.
It's up to all of us to keep this place ours and to keep it running and to keep it beautiful. Otherwise, it can't become, just another, destination where we can just go be wild and gross and then leave it behind and hope someone else will pick it up.
Well, good luck, and we look forward to seeing you here this week in Miami for your film, and we'll put the details up of where you think you'll be next so people can hustle you and not us. But
oh, absolutely.
Fabulous film. Thank you so much for making it. Have a good day.
Thanks. Thank you so much.
There's something magical about the fact that there's no streets, no cars. It feels very like plucked out of one place and placed into like a desolate sort of space. However, I don't feel like I'm doing without anything. This is my house on Shore Walk. I don't own it, but it's my house because I paid for it. I usually start mid-April and leave mid to late October. I'm kind of usually here until the Halloween party, which is the week before Halloween. They do this like really big Halloween party out here. So almost 6 months of my year, half of my life is Fire Island. Looks. Looks are pretty much whatever you want them to be. I mean, you're wearing a look. Not one I would wear, but it's a look.